It is in every nook and cranny of academia. A lot of people said exactly what you were saying. Well, this is just some esoteric nonsense that a few bozos in the humanities and the social sciences are doing. Absolutely not. Right now, most of the granting agencies that fund, research in the natural sciences, in physics and chemistry and biology and the neurosciences, will require the grant applicants to submit a what I call a DIE religion statement. DIE stands for diversity, inclusion, and equity, where you literally have to state right up front, irrespective of what you're studying, what is it that you've done to promote DIE principles, and what are you going to do if you were to win the grant in promoting DIE principles.
I'm Dave Rubin, and this is the Rubin Report. Quick reminder, everyone, to subscribe to our YouTube channel and then resubscribe when the subscribe gremlins unsubscribe you. And joining us today is an evolutionary behavioral scientist, a professor of marketing at Concordia University, and author of the new book, The Parasitic Mind: How Infectious Ideas Are Killing Common Sense. Gad Saad, welcome back to the Rubin Report.
Oh my God, it's so good to see you again. I wish it were being done in person in California, but second best.
I wish we were doing this in person. I know that you have a love of Southern California and the sun that is almost unrivaled by other human beings. One time we had you in here after you had been in SoCal for a few weeks. Your glow, the color that you can achieve, the bronze, it almost blew out our whole system. But you have a very nice tan right now.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Not bad for up in Canada. So before we do anything, I had to count beforehand, and we were trying to figure it out. This is either your 7th or 8th appearance on the Rubin Report. You are now the most returning guest of the Rubin Report. Would you say basically in terms of, you've got a pretty impressive CV, your resume is looking pretty good, but where does that fall in the scheme of things?
I think if I only put that on my CV, I've already made it. So you're taught.
All right, so look, I want to obviously dive into the book, and you guys sent us the book a couple weeks ago, and when I was reading it, I kept thinking that what you're explaining in this book is what about 20 of us have been yelling about for the last 5 years, and a whole bunch of mainstream media people kept saying, "Oh, this is just a college campus thing. This ain't real. You're all overstating it. You're overblowing it." And now it's everywhere. And some of these people have actually had mea culpas. We're seeing some people who used to mock us kind of go, oh, maybe they were kind of right about some of this stuff. So let's try it this way for the first question. Oh, and I can see you're putting your glasses on, so you're ready to be a learned professor. When did the ideas, when did you first notice that these bad ideas were creeping into society? And then we'll sort of talk about what the ideas are.
So I call them, of course, in the book, idea pathogens, and drawing a corollary to how animals could be parasitized by actual brain worms. I argue that human beings can be parasitized by another class of pathogens, idea pathogens. So, and hence this is why it's called the parasitic mind. So I first noticed it when I was a doctoral student at Cornell. I was taking a course with my eventual doctoral supervisor, J. Edward Russo, who is a mathematical and cognitive psychologist. And in the course, he assigned to his students some postmodernist reading. That was absolutely insane. Now, this was published in the most prestigious journal in the field, Journal of Consumer Research, very high impact factor amongst the social sciences. And it was complete insanity. It was basically what is often referred to as a, the guy was talking about his consumatory experience when he gets a warm erection thinking about his wife. And I'm thinking, this is science? Well, of course it's science, because according to these guys, postmodernism is my truth. So if I share with you my truth in a Dear Diary sense, it is just as valid as, quote, the scientific method. And so when I was first exposed to this postmodernism, I thought it was absolute insanity. Once I became a professor, I got my PhD in 1994, became a professor, I started seeing this postmodernist thinking throughout the halls of academia. And it was usually coupled with a rejection of biology. So biology is great in explaining the behavior of every single species except human beings. So this was the first instance about 28, 30 years ago when I first faced the insanity.
So one of the things I find interesting and why I think you're such a good communicator about this stuff is a lot of people think, oh, these bad ideas and identity politics and all of this stuff, well, it only is in the arts and it's only in, the sort of superfluous, classes and things like that. But because you come from a science background, you've seen these things infect virtually every level of academia, right?
It is in every nook and cranny of academia. A lot of people said exactly what you were saying. Well, this is just some esoteric nonsense that a few bozos in the humanities and the social sciences are doing. Absolutely not. Right now, most of the granting agencies that fund research in the natural sciences, in physics and chemistry and biology and the neurosciences, will require the grant applicants to submit what I call a DIE religion statement. DIE stands for diversity, inclusion, and equity, where you literally have to state right up front, irrespective of what you're studying, what is it that you've done to promote DIE principles, and what are you going to do if you were to win the grant in promoting DIE principles? Now, a colleague of mine at a fellow university here, a sister university in Montreal, very prestigious university, one of my alma maters, is a physical chemist. His grant application, he's a very, very accomplished physical chemist. His grant application was stopped at the DIE statement because they felt that it wasn't sufficiently adhering to the DIE tenets. So those who think that this is just some esoteric anomalous thing are absolutely wrong.
Can you go further with that? Because I think a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, but the statement means well, and if that helps more Black or trans or whatever people get into these fields, that is somehow good. But can you explain why that is actually antithetical to the type of research that people like you are trying to do?
Look, the scientific method liberates us from the shackles of our identity. That's what makes it so wonderful, right? Listening to transcendental experience, because I don't listen to Barry White thinking that I have a certain quota of Black singers that I need to listen to. He transcends whether he's Black or white. He gives me goosebumps because he's Barry White. So art, literature, music, the scientific method are the laudable endeavors that they are, precisely because they remove those shackles of identity. I come from a world of identity politics, as we've discussed on the show before, when I escaped Lebanon. So the fundamental principle on which classical liberalism, as you well know, and many of your viewers know, is a commitment to individual dignity. When you now say, no, your individual dignity must be tied to some tribal identity. I don't care how accomplished you are as a physicist. Are you a transgender person of color? And if yes, we give you the grant or not. What could be a greater cancer to individual dignity? It's grotesque.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about academia instead of nonstop yelling, check out our academia playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, check out our full episode playlist. They're all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.